Before I start, I would like to clarify that subgenres should be taken lightly, and you should always decide for yourself how you want to categorise your music. This video is meant more as an informative insight, rather than strict guidelines to follow. Right this second, drum and bass is one of the most popular music genres in the UK, with massive presences in cities such as Bristol, London, Manchester and Leeds. 2024 marks 30 years since the birth of Jungle, which produced iconic tunes such as this. But how did that turn into this? To understand where jungle and D&B came from, first we must go back to Chicago in the 80s, where acid house, a subgenre of house music, was invented, with its style characterised by the squelching sounds and bass lines of the Roland TB-303 synthesizer. By 1988, acid house spread across the UK, where it transformed the youth culture and became a prominent part of the rave scene. This period is referred to as the second summer of love, accredited to reducing football hooliganism and fighting as fans moved away from violence to music and ecstasy. Acid house paved the way for future rave music to come. Techno, trance, and by 1990, breakbeat hardcore has emerged. But what is a breakbeat? Hip-hop DJs from the Bronx in New York, such as Kool Herc, began using funk breaks from jazz funk songs such as James Brown's Funky Drummer. And a Winston's Amen Brother. Form the rhythmic bass for hip-hop songs. DJ Kool Herc's break style involved playing the same record on two turntables and playing the break repeatedly, alternating between the two records. Grandmaster Flash perfected this style, what she called the quick mix theory, where he would mark the points in the break with a crayon on the record, only needing to rewind and replay the break.
2 bars forward, 3 counterclockwise. You had to be qualified to handle this beat.
Oh, I know this.
Oh, yeah.
Is this Aerosmith?
Aerosmith. 2, 3, check, throw. 1, 2, 3, check, throw.
By the late 1970s, breakbeat samples had attained a large presence in the thriving hip-hop scene, with breakdancing being a byproduct of this new style of music. 10 years down the line, in 1990, acid house artists and producers began to use breakbeat samples, which spawned a new creation, breakbeat hardcore. This new era of breakbeat hardcore brought to life the rave scene, leading to free parties, mass raving, and a golden age of peace, prosperity and happiness. But, to get to the jungle, there was one final piece of the puzzle. After the Second World War, people in the Caribbean were invited to help rebuild post-war Britain. This is known as the Windrush generation, and many people were Jamaican migrants, who brought with them a very influential sound: reggae. In the coming years, the new sound influenced British music and culture, giving life to artists such as The Specials, The Selector, and The Clash. Fast forward to 1989, hip-hop artists Double Trouble and Rebel MC started to fuse this new breakbeat sound from the US and blended it with their Jamaican influences.
You can play drum.
2 years later, a wave of new artists was fueled up and ready. It was time to enter the jungle.
Hello?
Excuse me, mate. Can you tell me where the meeting place is for that jam happening tonight? What's it called? Zenity, Energy, Remedy, happening down at Sabotia.
Well, mate,
Some of the first pioneers of jungle were Philip Johnson and Carlton Hyman, DJ Daddy and DJ Hype, who developed their own sound and in 1989 released £10 to Get In under label Shut Up and Dance, which became an underground hit and one of the first proto-jungle records. Perhaps another important person in the development of jungle was Lenny D. Ice, who released We Are IE, which was considered one of the first jungle tracks and featured the iconic gunshot sound. One of the first musicians to boost hardcore with reggae bass lines was Paul Ibiza. Being a Londoner, I had enough of that sort of sound. The wrong direction, bringing us somewhere where we didn't know where we're going. The sound elements worked, the reggae influence worked, and I said, I know which direction I'm going in. DJ Storm continues. In 1991, Paul Ibiza was the first person I ever heard use the word jungle. I remember him bringing his first release on Ibiza Records, Into Music Power, and we were all wondering what this weird bass line was. Chris behind the counter turned to him and said, "What are you calling this then?" Paul replied, "I'm calling this jungle."
Back to the great songwriters like Duke Wellington. He had a track called Jungle Money, and 1930s called Jungle Jazz, and James Brown came out with Jungle Groove in 1975. You had the Jungle Brothers. So the jungle's in our DNA. When we was in the studio, me and Jane from Noise Factory, we looked down on the floor looking at this album, and we just sampled it, but we didn't realise what was on the front of the album cover, and then we saw it. Jungle. We saw Jungle Groove by James Brown. So that's where it really came from, within us. But at the same time, we had people at the farm called Jungleism. Jungle in the Broadwater Farm. So, you know, that's where the stem, the jungle, it's just in the black community as how we are. Because in Jamaica, you got jungle, you know, Tivoli Garden, jungle. It's just in our DNA.
During Jungle's golden era, there were many great tracks, such as Champion Sound by Q Project in 1993, The License by Chrome in Time in 1994, Helicopter Tune by Deep Blue in 1994, and Tom and Jerry, Maximum Style in 1994. The best example of jungle during this time is the Jungle Hits compilations that feature iconic beats such as The Burial by Leviticus and Babylon by Splash. Moreover, Witness the Strength 95 DJ mix by Diesel Boy demonstrates a wide variety of jungle music from the first half of the 90s. Ragamuffin, spelt with one G, is a term originating from British colonial rule as a derogatory term. In the mid-80s, Jamaican youth reappropriated the word and began to call themselves ragamuffins. Ragamuffin, or ragga, describes the music of Jamaica's ghettos. Wayne Smith revolutionised reggae with undimmed tang by introducing digital production techniques, specifically with the use of the Casio MT40 keyboard and a simple drum machine. Wayne's digital approach to reggae helped lay the groundwork for jungle music, which can be seen for its bass-heavy and syncopated rhythms. 4 years later, the influence could be seen with Double Trouble and Rebel MC's Street Tough. Yet, this was only just the beginning. With the prior track, £10 to Get In, music duo Shut Up and Dance were back, and this time took two MCs, Trevor and David Tush, under their wing. They formed an outfit called the Ragga Twins, releasing Spliffhead in 1990. The most famous ragga song, or even jungle song, is Incredible by M-Beat featuring General Levy in 1994.
It's testing the mic and seeing what I could do with it and how it sound, and I done it. I just went, well, big up! Our original jungle is massive. The original dancehall jungle is there. General Levy alongside MB. The world is in trouble. And then bam, we're into the tune. And it was like, when I finished that, I said to them, yeah, you ready to do the tune now? You ready now? They goes, no, we got it. No, come out the booth, we got it. I was like, you lot, what? That's too crazy. How's that gonna work? That's too much energy. It's like, I'm shouting. We'll lace the track down in one take. Bam.
Yo, Matty, all of them, I spin them like a windmill. You talk for them, go to them, and we got the skill. Dance can nice and let's win name on the bill. And the girls see you with vices like them.
It was the first time a jungle track entered the British National Chart at number 40 and continued to rise in the following weeks.
It should have gone further, but because it was an independent label, it wasn't getting that love from the mainstream charts because it's like a club thing, it's a clicky thing. You got to be in, you can't just come out of nowhere and get a number one.
As if one anthem wasn't enough, UK Apache and Shy FX released Original Nutter the very same year, which can still be heard today, rattling the dance floors in thousands of raves around the country.
Bad boys in a Jerkon, rude boys in a Kingston. Watch out, you never know the gangster. Me say them in a jungle. Well, you never know the article. Me say them in a jungle. Well, you never know Shy FX man big in a jungle. Well, you never know UK Apache big in a jungle. We tell everybody watch it down, man. Me at the
Around the time in the mid-90s, Ragga Jungle began to see a decline from the mainstream as DJs stopped airplay of popular songs in the genre. A great embodiment of this style is the Jungle Spliff DJ mixtape by DJ Jeffrey in 1994 that blends a haze of different Ragga styles together in a potent mix sure to blow your head off. Darkcore is always a dark and ominous sound, often featuring horror movie samples, eerie sound effects and heavy syncopated breakbeats. It's also important to note that jungle and darkcore emerged from breakbeat hardcore at the same time and continue to grow alongside each other. The name is derived from the song Darkcore by Two Dark Troopers in 1993. However, Goldie is often credited for pioneering the sound of Terminator EP in 1992.
There's a lot of equipment in the studio and I'd seen a HF harmonizer. The daddy.
Terminator is out there.
By misusing an old piece of guitar kit, Goldie invented a revolutionary technique called time stretching.
If you want to play a guitar at one pitch, you can play it, but then if you want to sound like it's 10 guitars, you can have guitars playing pitch down and guitars playing up. But they're playing at the same time. So if I put breakbeat through that, digital breakbeat, I don't know, no one's ever done it. I'm like, let's wire it up.
Some other examples of darkcore tracks at the time were Drowning in Her by the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse, Trip to the Moon Part 2 by Asen, and Dark Rider by Roughage Crew. But I would say my personal favourite is Valley of the Shadows by Unknown Origin in 1993. In 1994, Grooverider used the word hardstep to describe the music he was making at this time. Supposedly this name was suggested by his friend, who found it too difficult to dance to his complex tracks. Hardstep's main components are the kick drum, which is overlooked in the prior jungle, and its complex, repetitive and unpredictable samples. Perhaps one of the most influential Hardstep songs was Renegade by Terrorist, aka Ray Keith, in 1994. This song revolutionised drum and bass when he used the Reese bass line, which is sampled on Just Want Another Chance by Kevin Sorensen, aka Reese. This low frequency sound was made to replace bass lines that sounded more like Jamaican dub. Hardstep is considered a transitional stage between jungle and drum and bass. Two of my favourite Hardstep artists are Dillinger and Lemon D, who formed Valve Recordings in 1997. The label is named after the Valve components used in old school power amps, which produce a warmer sound. Later, in 2001, they would make the Valve sound system, which was specifically designed for drum and bass, with subs able to reach 96 kHz.
Your bass and mid, your highs, everything's got to be right, do you know what I'm saying? And it took us about a year just to get the tuning right. We had to get loads of different drivers, basically speaker components from all different companies all over the world, and run tests with them, do you know what I'm saying, against other products, and make sure we get the right roll-off and EQ dynamic points. Our main focus is bass, so the bass is the most important thing. We use a classic bass cabinet called a scoop bass bin, which is used by Saxon, Cox, and all the Jamaican sound systems. We basically modernised the classic bass bin, do you know what I'm saying, to brought it up to date. And the rest of the system we just designed to fit with drum and bass, basically, do you know what I'm saying? All the amps, everything, you know, a lot of stuff custom built, just to make sure it sounds right within what we want, sort of thing.
In 1995, the first Techstep track had come out, Mutant Jazz DJ Trace Remix, which had also used Kevin Sorensen's Reese bassline. Like Hardstep was a natural progression of jungle, Techstep was the next stage in the evolution. The pioneers of Techstep were the founders of No U-Turn Records, Ed Rush, Trace and Nico. Grooverider started to play Techstep, and soon it spread from the clubs to the music store shelves. The song that peaked 1996 was Skylab by Ed Rush, released under Goldie's Metalheadz label. Skylab's cover art was the city of Detroit, with the Metalheadz logo looming over the city. Perhaps this is a nod to Kevin Sorensen and the techno that helped shape Hardstep and drum and bass. The development of Techstep is massively owed to a song called Pulp Fiction by Alex Reese in 1995. This track followed a minimalistic approach, focusing on a simple two-step break pattern and a prominent bass line. Ultimately, this would be one of the most influential tunes, helping shape drum and bass and pushing for a simplified style which can still be heard today. In 1997, there were two important compilations. First, No U-Turn label dropped Talk, which resembled the cutting edge of Techstep. Same year, Groove Rider released Groove Rider Presents the Prototype Years, which included a mixture of Techstep and newly emerging Neurofunk. Although Techstep was already somewhat popular, this mark of approval by Groove Rider set the precedent and symbolised the pinnacle of the Techstep movement. In the coming years, Techstep slowly began to fade away as it gave way to the newly arriving Neurofunk. Nevertheless, there were still a number of notable tracks that came out in the following years. Some albums that stick out to me are Inside the Machine, Bad Company in 2000, Industry, Dom and Roland in 1998, Magnetic, Johnny L in 1998. There are many interesting Techstep releases that I won't be able to cover, so I will leave Techstep by recommending the Chemistry and Storm DJ Kicks mix in 1999. This mix showcases Techstep and the seamless mixing capabilities of Chemistry and Storm in a male-dominated DJ world. Painfully, this would be the last major CD release to feature Chemistry before her unexpected death in 1999.
So I suppose in 1990 we went on a year of really, really hard raving, and we were at Ice Valley Ice Rink in Lee Bridge, and about, 2 o'clock in the morning, I was listening to these two tunes and I was thinking, we've got these two tunes and they're not the same speed, yet this guy is making them the same speed. I don't really understand. So I kind of migrated towards the decks, and I was looking at this deck with the red light on. I'd never seen it before, and this guy was doing this, and I was like, what's he doing? So this guy next to me, I said, what's going on there? He said, oh, yeah, it's a Technics, it's called a Technics, and, it's got a pitch bend, and, they're mixing, and we were like, right. And as I looked across the other side of the decks, there was Kemi doing exactly the same. So we came out that night and we said, okay, we obviously want to be with this music 24/7, let's become DJs. And I suppose that's how it started really for us. We didn't really engage in the world for about 6 months at one point, and I remember coming downstairs and our landlady said, do you realise we're going to war with Iraq? And we were like, really? Oh, we didn't know, we're just raving.
In 1994, Dread released Dread Bass, which was one of the first tunes to use the iconic reverse bass sound, which is known as the wobble. The name Jump Up derives from DJs mixing the long intros to hip hop and jungle together. The audiences could not wait and began to jump up. When the drums kicked in, everyone went crazy. The most famous tune of the era was Super Sharp Shooter by DJ Zinc in 1995. The significant entity was the hip-hop samples, such as the Capella by Method Man from Wu-Tang Clan. From the release Release Your Delph in 1995. From this point onwards, hip-hop and a distinctive wobble was what made Jump Up different from other jungle and drum bass genres. DJ Zinc would release several tracks on DJ Hype's Ganja Records label, and by 1996 their popularity peaked with the release of their album, Still Smoking. Its success led to the creation of the True Players label, featuring Hype, Zinc, Pascal, and Rude Boy Monty. Hype composed a mixtape, Jungle Massive in 2001, which intertwines jungle, jump up, ragga and atmospheric to produce a great taste of the 90s scene. A distinctive release was Shy FX's This Style in 1995.
This style is identical to none.
new jungling guy?
I got the Tarzan and Jaded Jungle just swinging on the vine this morning, mate. I'm telling you, this could turn Hare Krishna into a bad boy.
In 1999, Aphrodite released their first album, known for its heavy and low-frequency bass lines. Aphrodite, however, was a shining light in the declining drum-pop scene. The once prominent genre fell off with ravers looking towards Techstep, the newly emerging Neurofunk. But there was still hope left for jump-up. Shimon and Andy C released a number of jump-up tracks throughout the late 90s, with notable releases such as Quest in 1996. But by sheer luck, coincidence, or innovation, a track was made which would change drum and bass forever. Unlike jungle or two-step, body rock was 4 to the floor. This meant it had a steady rhythm, something that previously had been considered impossible in the breakbeat landscape. We had no idea what would happen with body rock last Shimon. We just found that beat we'd done ages ago from an old tune and thought it'd be mad to use it. That tune was the one that took everyone by surprise, stated Andy. To sum it up, I remember playing Body Rock as my last tune at Homelands a few years ago in 2001. Ronnie Size came up and rewound it 2 or 3 times. It was the last set of the night. I remember seeing daylight outside and seeing many thousands of people go nuts. In the aftershock of Body Rock, many people didn't know what to call it since it was unlike anything they'd heard before. This new sound was labelled Clownstep due to its swing beat, which was thought to have resembled clowns dancing. Over the course of the next 2 years, the sound was experimented with, and many tracks sounded almost identical. But as the old phrase goes, Rome wasn't built in a day, nor was jump up. For the moment, we're going to take an interval from jump up, and let's stay in the 90s to see what other music was emerging. For this next style, we must go back to 1991, when jungle was not defined yet and was still in its developmental stage. The same year, LTJ Bukem released Demon's Theme. Comprising atmospheric soundscapes, complex drum patterns, and melodic rhythms, Demon's Theme is considered one of the first songs to experiment with jumble's ambient side. In 1992, Goldie under the Metalheadz label released Angel, which became a hit with his melodic sounds and beautiful vocals. By 1994, jungle and ambient jungle reached a peak of popularity, but the word used to describe it was all about to change. Goldie released his 21-minute symphonic drum bass track, Timeless, and his single, Inner City Life. Hasty journalists were stumped and didn't know how to refer to this mix of complex rhythm patterns, advanced atmospheric effects, and reverse vocals. The press labelled this intelligent drum and bass. During 1994 and 1995, LTJ Bukem gathered a crew of musicians who focused on making mellow jazzy atmospheric tracks for the good-looking label.
How many sounds got in this module, Dan? 750 sounds.
different keyboard sounds and rows and vibes and strings and all kind of things. So you can like compile your own orchestra out of like one module, basically. I think it's brilliant because not everyone can play, say, a keyboard or play a guitar or play drums or whatever. So in the days when there weren't samplers, you had to have a band and be skilled in a particular instrument to make music. Well, now you don't. Well, that's brilliant.
The style can only be described as space theme, with many samples coming from sci-fi films. In 1996, LTJ Bookham and Good Looking Records released the legendary compilation, Logical Progression. LTJ Bookham's Intelligent Jungle is also a great example of the early atmospheric tunes mixed to perfection. I'm unsure why Bookham called his mix intelligent. Perhaps it was to keep up the labels the press was giving Jungle. But less than a year later, he denounced this term.
Yeah, they must stop using this word intelligent. Intelligent this, intelligent that.
Implying that his music was intelligent and aimed at intelligent listeners. In his words, like other forms of drum and bass, I'm not intelligent. I think it's fair to say the style of music could be called many things. Ambient, atmospheric, or artcore, and there shouldn't be a set name for this genre. Let's take a moment to look at some of the other key artists responsible during atmospheric's golden age. The turn of the new millennium saw the golden age of atmospheric jungle and drum and bass come to an end. But LTJ Bookham and the Good Looking Records crew still had a few projects left in them. This came in the form of the Producer Series, which would continue over the course of several years, showcasing artists including PFM, Blue Martin, Taylor, Bookham again, Seba, Big Bud, Makoto. My favourites are Producer 1 and Producer 2. Ronnie Size is the first person who paved the way for this style, with the release of Music Box in 1993.
So basically the objective now is to be able to get these sounds here, you know, to the conductor, over to the sequencer.
The sequencer is basically driving the sampling technology. You take the beats, you chop them up, you give them the sound you want in the sampler, and then the sequencer is the engine that drives them forward.
What the technology allows us to do is to be more creative and gives us more freedom. But what's more important than any machines is what's in here. Do you know what I mean? If you've got nothing in there, then all the equipment in the world ain't going to do you no good.
So now you take the position of conductor to put it in where you feel it should go, and at what time. Basically find the break and go for a count-in.
Then in 1994 is the jazz thing, which set the level of the new genre, with the introduction of instruments such as double bass. By 1996, Ronnie recruited 7 musicians who formed a band called Represent and began to implement instruments to form a live blend of jazz, jungle, and drum and bass.
To the rhythm made out of brown paper. Sounds that we bring are of a different nature. Rhythms get greater and the rhythms they get greater. Yes, another rougher tough form for the chaser. New configuration, new riff and new structure. Built on the frame that'll hold and won't puncture. Tight, we wrap it up, it's wrapped tightly.
It is thought that Fabio introduced the term Jazzstep, and the Sour label used it in the compilation, a Jazzstep injection into drum and bass the same year. The mid-90s marked a golden age for Jazzstep, and many talented musicians applied their own methods to the subgenre, and by 1998 there were an array of different jazz and drum and bass infusions. Lemon D, This Is LA. Shifty, Jazz Ass. Intense, Positive Notions. DJ Krusk, Jazz Note. Apart from the obvious jazz instrumentation, Jazzstep and atmospheric are very similar and both go hand in hand with major crossovers. This can be seen through much of LTJ Bookham and the Good Looking Label's work, with some examples being the Earth compilations and the Logical Progression Level 2 compilation. If you want to taste this blend, outside of the Good Looking Label, Intelligent Drum and Bass Mixtape by DJ Bailey is a great example of this. Breakcore had been developing sound since the early 90s, with the Riot Beats compilation having Alec Empire's Hester Jag with Ulf Nassi on it in 1992. Alec Empire was a member of the Atari Teenage Riot, a digital hardcore band formed in 1992 with anarchist and anti-fascist views. By 1994, Alec Empire founded the record label Digital Hardcore Recordings, with this releasing Digital Hardcore EP the same year, which was a defining release in the evolution of Breakcore. The next year, Alec Empire released the Destroyer LP, considered to be the first Breakcore album. Other developmental releases are Christophe de Babylon, If You're Into It, I'm Out of It LP in 1997. Triple F, Death is Beautiful LP in 1998. Bong Ra is another incorporated metal, ragga and gabba to create the Bikini Bandits Kill 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 LP in 2003. Square Pusher, an artist blending IDM with Breakcore. The notable releases is the Go Plastic LP in 2001.
The thing I always gravitated towards was drum breaks. The idea of like sampling the drum breaks was the first thing I wanted to do, and then cutting up the breaks so that you could almost like mimic a drum beat. And then after a while you sort of go, yeah, I want to do things that drummers can't do, you know what I mean? Like I started off using like a DR660 drum machine, and when the guy demoed it for me in the shop, he was like, check this out, man. And it was just like this really disgusting like Queen rock drum beat, and it was just like, this thing's horrible, but I thought, oh, it's a drum machine, I want to get a drum machine, so I'll get it. And over the years of working with it, I end up doing like granular synthesis with like a drum machine, because it's just like, you're going like, you know, like, and like the people who made a DR660 had never made it to do those things. It just happened that it's got the facility to do it, but they never even thought about it. But it's just like any instrument, if you spend long enough with it, you can mutate it.
Perhaps the most popular breakcore record is Ross Silag LP, released by Venetian Snares under the Planet Mu label, which incorporated classical music styles into breakcore. However, many people argue this album was not true to the original breakcore of the 90s. This album was a formula of something new. By the mid-90s, drill and bass was also starting to develop, as IDM artists began to experiment with breakbeat, jungle and drum and bass music. 1995 was the year drill and bass established itself, with Plug, Aphex Twin and Square Pusher pushing this new IDM style. Plug pioneered this style with their self-titled EPs named Plug. Alongside this was Aphex Twin's hangable auto bulb under his alias AFX. And not to forget Square Pusher's Conumba EP. In 1996, the style appeared in long-form LPs such as Plug's Drum and Bass for Papa. Square Pusher's Feed Me Weird Things, and Aphex Twin's Richard D. James album. Since we've reached this point, it's probably important to talk about the genius that's Aphex Twin.
What's that bit there? That's where you put the decks.
By 13, Aphex made his own synthesizer, and by 14 he started recording his own tracks, which makes up the selected few that made it onto his ambient works 85 and 92. He used many unique softwares, including Metasynth, a program that allows the creation of sound through images, which can be seen on his track Formula, that has hidden images of his face in the spectrogram. Another software is Composer's desktop project, which was originally command-based and without GUI, graphic user interface. He used this for his track Bucephalus Bouncing Bull, which is insane to think about the time-consuming process it would have taken to make this. But Bucephalus Bouncing Bull was a part of a very important EP, housing Aphex Twin's genre-defining drill and bass tune, Come to Daddy in 1997. However, in 1997, Music's album Lunatic Harness is considered one of the best examples of this style. Moreover, an album that sticks out to me is Aphex Drugs in 2001, with its 1 hour and 40 minute length, 30 track that blends multiple different styles and genres including acid lines, piano melodies and string synthesizers. Neurofunk is the evolution of Techstep, and the name was coined by music journalist Simon Reynolds in an interview with The Wire in 1997. Reynolds described this genre as being centred around clean production, eerie electronic sounds, and extremely complicated bass lines. Early examples of this are Ed Rush and Obstacle's Funky Twin single in 1997.
You probably know who this is by now, and this is our studio. We have the shabbiest studio in drum and bass. Take a look.
Look at the dust under that sampler, it's terrible. Look at that, London grime.
When we buy a new piece of equipment, we tip an ashtray into it first. That's our tip for getting a good sound.
And then the next year, the album Wormhole in 1998. In the years after, Neurofunk developed notable releases, such as Bad Company Refuge in 1999. Conflict Messiah in 2000. DJ TB's Black Science Labs album in 2000. Stacker and Skynet's album Clockwork in 2001. Synthetics Gateway in 2006. Black Sun Empire Driving Insane in 2004. It's around this time that the popularity of Neurofunk took off, with many European producers entering the scene. Between the years 2003 and 2010, Neurofunk saw its height in popularity as it drifted more and more away from Techstep. And then, Ed Rush and Optical are back with their Travel the Galaxy LP in 2009.
Although you've got so much you can use, you're also limited by the way they've built these computer programs, you know.
The whole sound's just become a bit more shiny now. Yeah. You know, you've lost the sort of authentic, organic, sort of rich feel of the music, and all the mix downs are kind of, I don't know, they're just more plastic, more synthetic kind of sound nowadays.
I've put it back together recently a couple of times, and you can't match up to the sonic level of a computer mix down, so you know, in order to get it to sound like a lot of other people's music, it doesn't have that quality anymore. You'd have to go to everyone in the whole drum and bass saying, look, let's all stop putting all this top end on everything. You know what I mean? Just so that I can make music again.
Yeah, ain't gonna happen.
It's not gonna happen.
In the year 2000, Fabio introduced a compilation called Liquid Funk, which is ambient, full of jazz, funk, and was one of the first users of the term. I believe Liquid Funk is a natural progression of the artcore styles that came before, from people such as LTV Bookham and a Good Looking Label, who also began to give their take on this subgenre. The other big labels were Hospital Records, Metalheads, and Liquid City, which the latter found success from the early use of YouTube. Perhaps one of the best to touch the liquid style was Calibre, who is highly revered for many, including Fabio.
Is that your favorite thing, producing?
Yes. I mean, I don't know what way to come across to talk about this without sounding pretentious, but music is a form for me to stay sane. It's something I need to do to retain humanity, I guess. And over the years, it's something that has allowed me to escape, life somewhat. So it's something that's really therapeutic for me. But I really love doing it, and I still feel the same about it. Since I was like 12.
Throughout the 2000s, many artists grew around the liquid style. Some of my favourite albums of this period are Calibre, Music Concrete in 2001, Makoto, Human Elements in 2003, London Electricity, $1 Billion Gravy in 2003, Makoto, Believe in My Soul 2007, Shy Effects, Diary of a Digital Soundboy in 2005.
For the youth in the ghetto, me a pray every day that the Almighty chatting would have stopped them go astray. Some a pick up their gun and them a take life away. Make me tell the people now get a life stay. Every day where we get up is a gunshot. When they hear the shot, I bust you better get shot. Every day where we get up is a gunshot. When they hear gunshot, I bust you better get shot. Every day where we get up is a gunshot. When they hear the shot, I bust you better get shot. Every day where we get up is a gunshot. When they hear gunshot, I bust you better get shot.
As Liquid D&B grew, it saw mainstream popularity with albums such as High Contrast, Tough Guys Don't Dance in 2007. Netski, self-titled in 2010. It's important though to note, Netski was not 100% liquid in style. He was the sound of a newly emerging style, one which would take over the entire D&B scene and remain prevalent today. This is Dancefloor Drum and Bass. The innovator of dancefloor D&B is Pendulum, who took the world by storm with their Hold Your Collar album in 2005. Then again in 2008 with In Silico. And in 2010 Immersion. However, many argue that they moved away from the pure D&B sound over this period of time.
Could you tell us a bit about what is your special touch to the genre?
I guess our special touch to the genre would be largely ignoring it these days and doing what we want. Yeah, I mean, we came out of the drum and bass scene and we got twitchy and slightly bored and decided to incorporate as many different things as we could. So I think that's what sets it apart.
And shunned for it, which is completely acceptable.
Shunned and then accepted again, and then shunned again, and accepted, sort of.
So are you tired of the definition drum and bass because it's a little too vague if what you're doing now?
I can understand why people use it. I think it's more just pendulum now. You know, it's just that's the sort of only way to describe it. I mean, it's if you say it's drum and bass to some people, they get quite offended. Not us, we don't care. But yeah, it's some drum and bass purists. They'll say like pendulum, that's not drum and bass, and that's alright.
As we reached the 2010s, dancefloor drum and bass had a surge in the UK mainstream, with artists such as Sigma, Rudimental, and DJ Fresh bringing a poppy sound to the genre. As one D&B Reddit user recalls, to me it was a generational shift. We had the hard dark 2000s, then all those people got jobs, had kids, etc. And a new crowd came in via big festivals. Those people wanted drum and bass that matched big festival format. Huge sound systems, tons of lights. Ram Records and Viper Records stepped up and gave it to them.
Every time I go to the rave, everyone knows gonna be up next high. Every time I jump on stage, everyone here wants to shout next high. When temperature's in the rave, it's too much, it's such a next high. When I climb on stage, all of my fans just shout.
With the rise of mainstream drum and bass, vocalists became an integral element of the genre. Rappers such as Dizzy Rascal, Tiny Temper and Temper T all featured on Chasing Status, No More Idols in 2011. On the other hand, singers such as Becky Hill and Cameron Hayes emerged alongside the mainstream success, with an example being Afterglow by Wilkinson, Lasers Not Included in 2013.
Even though the dancing's done, don't worry cause the night is young. Who cares where we go, we're ready for the afterglow. Someone hold the sunlight back, cause we want this night to last. Smoke and lasers, love and ravers, afterglow. We're ready for the afterglow.
Around this time, digital streaming services such as Spotify began to grow massively, allowing global exposure for artists and fans alike. Parallel to this were festivals such as Let It Roll and Boomtown Fair, which only boosted D&B's popularity further. And by 2018, there were an array of new charting bangers, only cementing dancefloor's name in the mainstream further. Some albums and singles that stick out to me during this period are Culture Shock Sequence in 2019. Self-Focus and Wilkinson Portals in 2020. Metric Ex Machina in 2020. My personal favourite single is Danny Bird's Selector in 2021. Self-Focus reworks in 2021. Dimension Organ in 2021. Self-Focus Evolve in 2023. Chasing Status, Becky Hill's Disconnect in 2023 peaked at number 6, becoming Hill's 6th and Chasing Status' 5th top 10 single respectively. Today, Dancefloor D&B still remains prevalent, with many countries around the world having major fan bases for the genre. But there's one other that can't help but be noticed. To understand the long and interesting story of Jump Up, let's pick up where we left off. Body rock opened Jump Up community's eyes to this new sound, and thus Clownstep was harvested and mutated into something better. In 2003, the subgenre that peaked in the mid-90s wobbled back to life. That year, DJ Fresh left Bad Company and started a new record label called Breakbeat Chaos with Adam F. At the same time, Pendulum released their first ever song called Vault in 2003, which immediately became a hit. Adam and Fresh took Pendulum under their wing, releasing a compilation, Jungle Sound, The Bassline Strikes Back in 2004. And then in 2005, Pendulum released Hold Your Colour under the Breakbeat Chaos label, which would go on to become one of the best-selling drum and bass albums of all time. The next important figure in the development of Jump Up is DJ Hazard, who is best known for his anthem release, Mr. Happy in 2007. Some other big names in Jump Up during this time are Original Sin, Taxman and New Elements. Hazard would go on to release huge tracks, Time Tripping in 2013 and Bricks Don't Roll in 2014.
I can always tell, you know, when you've been time tripping. Time tripping.
In 2014, the supergroup SAS formed with members comprising of DJs Fantasy and Mackie G. Mackie G during his time in the group released many popular tracks including Black Widow in 2015. Aftershock in 2017. And Tour in 2017. Alongside the two DJs were MCs Harry Shutter, Skibbity, Shabba-D and Stormin. Now is probably a good time to talk about MCing. If you look back at all the genres that influenced drum and bass, an MC has been prevalent in all of them. Whether it's jungle, hardcore, hip hop or reggae, an MC has been there to hype up the crowd and add to the music. Stevie Hyper D helped lay the foundations for drum and bass MCing by inventing the double time MC style, going twice as fast as the regular flow whilst fitting within the bars in the music. Other MCs over the years are Dynamite MC, DRS, MC Conrad, MC Trigger, MC Spider and MC GQ, just to name a few. Around this time, many new producers entered the scene who make up the jump up style as we know today. In the 2020s, Jump Up's DJ scene continued to grow, with a wealth of DJs old and new, pushing the boundaries of what's possible on the decks. Some of my favourite mixes over the recent years are D&B All Stars 360, with sets from Boo, Headaches,
Wait, let's make it a bit more fruity.
Ankara, also, Chasing Status Boiler Room set is one that sticks out. Today in 2024, the biggest drum and bass artists and DJs are in Dancefloor and Jump Up, with festivals such as Creamfield's Warehouse Project and D&B All Stars drawing in thousands of ravers to listen to their seismic lineups. Oh, and Chasing Status have helped quite a lot with a special song called
Bad from me bad. Where you get your bada from? Thing where me get. Coulda come from Afghanistan. Then I want see this cross make me up in my hand.
which managed to reach number 5 on the UK singles chart and continued to run in the top 100 for 21 weeks in 2023. Just this year they released another massive tune called Backbone with Stormzy.
You ain't got no backbone. I get out the trap, I ain't got a trap phone. I got P's and M's and K's and O's. They're illiterate with letters, so I'm letting niggas know.
Which debuted at number 1 and is currently still in the top 10. Expected to stay in the top 100 for quite some time. As the jump up scene reaches an all-time high in popularity, you can't help but ask the question, has it become too formulaic? I think the current climate is explained best by a Reddit user named E.Man. It just became a caricature of itself and developed into who can make the loudest, squawkiest synth. Nowadays, many jump up tunes follow the same exact pattern. Build up, cut all drums in the percussion, highly pitched stabby synth comes in, drums drop back under the synth, rinse and repeat for 5 minutes. It became all about the mid-range, high-pitched stabs and yoys, completely lost its character. On the flip side, people listen to Jump Up for a reason. It does exactly what it says in the tin. A big bass line, some speaker-shaking growls, and more than your fair share of face-melting drops that are certain to get anyone's heart racing. They're fun tracks designed to get the whole crowd bouncing. Before we draw to a close, I'm going to mention some of my other favourite D&B EPs and LPs from the last decade that I haven't covered. Turn Down the Lights EP by Benny Page. He's a Ragga D&B producer who blends many styles into one. Similarly, Ed Solo and Decline are two producers who fuse reggae tunes such as You Don't Love Me by Dawn Penn. And Bongo Bong by Manu Chao, with energetic and heavy bass lines.
Down in the jungle, I start banging my first bongo. Every monkey like to be in my place instead of me, cause I'm the king of bongo, baby, I'm the king of bongo bong. I went to the big town where there is a lot of sound, from the jungle to the city, looking for a bigger crowd. So I play my boogie for the people of big city, but they don't go crazy when I'm banging on my boogie. I'm the king of the bongo.
A full long play record that stands out is Ragamuffin Sound Tape, a mixtape style compilation by Shy FX that showcases drum and bass with various genres such as roots reggae, carnival music, modernist R&B, and moody off-centre hip-hop. Shy also released Ragamuffin Reloaded in 2020, which is a remix album of Ragamuffin Sound Tape, featuring reworked tracks by some of Shy FX's favourite producers. And not to forget, Chasing Status's remix of UK Apache and Shy FX's original Nutter in 2019. Breakcore has seen a revival in the 2020s, fixated on nostalgia and sentiment, with their aesthetic tools being aim breaks, anime, video games and internet culture. Machine Girl and Goreship played pivotal parts to inspire this revival. However, their music is considered hardcore breaks, a subgenre whose musical lineage is related but parallel to breakcores. Machine Girl's album Wolf Girl in 2014 merged the two styles together, perhaps marking the beginning of the condensing of these two genres. By the time 2019 rolled around, Suicide, perhaps the most popular atmospheric producer in this aesthetic, their music was being called breakcore, and the term seemed to have swallowed anything ambient with fastcore breaks in its DNA. Nevertheless, Golden Boy and Normcorp's record label, Cass McFadden, DJ Chain Wallach, Govlink and Lil Clever 303 stand out as a group that helped the revival. In 2021, Golden Boy created Breakcorp's 2 compilation, which is a good representation of the breakcore and hardcore break scene at the time. Moreover, Landline Collective's Y2K20 and Y2K 2021 are good compilations and an embodiment of the nostalgia video game style. Additionally, atmospheric drum and bass is seeing a revival fixated around the same anime, video game, and internet culture aesthetics. But what some might forget is this aesthetic is fueled by nostalgia. In the 90s, Japanese game studios such as Nintendo and PlayStation took influence from some of the biggest jungle names at the time. Some games that included jungle and D&B were Wipeout in 1995, 1080 Snowboarding in 1998, and Bomberman Hero in 1998. One of the most interesting is Ape Escape in 1999, composed by Soichi Terada. Soichi was well known for his house music style, but was recruited by Sony after his release of Sumo Jungle in 1996. In recent years, YouTube compilations centered around video games drawing millions of views as people dust off and rediscover their love for this timeless music. Alongside this is a new generation of producers aiming to capture some of the 90s and 2000s sentiment. Some of my favourite producers of this recent atmospheric era are as follows. As of recent years, many artists are going back to the original sound of the 90s, rather than following the restricting rhythm structures of modern D&B. Jungle is seeing a huge surge in popularity from veterans of the scene, such as Return to Jungle by Jason Status. Some of my favourite recent jungle artists include Tim Reaper, Sully, Neo Archives, 4am Crew, Cooker Bryce and Dead Man's Chest, all pushing the sound back into the club nights and festivals. This year in 2024, Warehouse Project is hosting Up Your Archives, a testament to jungle music old and new. Spearheading the revival is Neo Archives, who released their debut album, Silence is Loud, this year. But what sets her apart from the rest is the dynamic capability and creativity that she possesses. Not only does she produce, sing and DJ, but she also makes her own visuals.
So you really are a do-it-yourself artist, like hands-on. You're a producer, you're a vocalist, you're a songwriter, you also do your own visuals.
Yeah.
Why do you think it's so important to be involved in every step of the creating process?
Yeah, I think it's just like, I feel like art is like a representation of who you are.
Yeah.
And I just feel like, I just love creating. It's the only thing that I'm actually good at. So I just love making stuff, and like to make something from nothing, or whether it's like from an emotion, like maybe you're sad or maybe you're happy, and then to like create something from that and like it actually exists. It's like such a beautiful feeling. Everything that I do or put out is 100% me, and it's all like little ideas that started out in my brain, and then
so how does that work? Is that like you're laying in bed and then this idea for visuals come, or?
Yeah, it's just, I think life inspires ideas. It's just like a cycle of like, I might be here and see something cool and think, oh, actually, I could put that into my kind of world kind of thing.
We come to an end of our journey through time, looking at the culture, artists and tunes that help shape the musical landscape we live in today. Drum and bass has gone through droughts and neglect in the past, but has consistently refused to disappear. The genre has continued to evolve, adapt and thrive, with new artists emerging and existing ones maintaining their popularity. This resilience has allowed for significant growth to become one of the most popular electronic music genres globally. The future of drum and bass is uncertain, but one thing is clear. The jungle is still massive.
So tell me why choose to stay when you're old get so stuck inside my head. This overthinking sends me west. Obsessed about everything you said and what I could have said instead. I get so stuck inside my head. This overthinking sends me west. Obsessed about everything you said and what I could have said instead. I get so stuck inside my head. This overthinking sends me west. Obsessed about everything you said and what I could have said instead. I get so stuck inside my head. This overthinking sends me west. Obsessed about everything you said. So tell me